here to share with you guys my August TBR, and the theme for this month is alike. So I've been watching a lot of booktube videos where they compare, if you like this, then you'll like that. And so I decided last month that this is going to be my theme, and I went onto Goodreads and I looked up all of the books that I gave a good rating to, like 4 or 5 stars. And you know how on the side, so when you're looking on the screen, I think it's on this side, it's hard to pretend that you're inside the camera. So I think it's on this side of Goodreads where there's this panel that you can scroll through, and it shows you suggestions or books that are similar to the book that you've read. So yeah, I went through those books, and I found books that were similar to my 5-star books that I owned. And if I didn't own the book, then I purchased it. I'm looking forward to this month's read. It looks like a lot, but there's only 11 on this list, and hopefully I can get through all of them. So before we get to the if you like this, then you might like this category, I want to talk about the Stephen King 2019 pick for August, which is Rose Matter. This is a suspense novel. It says it's a brilliant, dark-hued fable of gender wars, a haunting love story, and a hold-your-breath triumph of suspense. Rose Matter is Stephen King at its electrifying best. I don't know what this is about at all. I didn't even know this existed until I was collecting all of the hotter editions. And so according to the back, it talks about a girl named Rosie who is looking over her shoulder from a maddened cop named Norman who is tracking people. I don't know. So if you've read this, let me know down below how you liked it. Now, as for the Goodreads group in general, of course I will leave the link down below if you would like to become a member and join. Every single month we read a new book. I am extremely far behind, and that is because Stephen King's books are just so stinking long, and I have a hugely busy schedule. Not only that, but I don't like to be tied down to one book anymore. Like, I want to get as many books as read as possible. We all know this. And so I tend to listen to these on audio, and I'm not at work, so it's really hard for me to get back into Stephen King. With that being said, for those members that have read every single book this year, congratulations. I am so proud of you. I will continue to try to get to all of these books, but I think at some point I'm gonna have to just start reading them on my own sometime in the near future. Although I will be doing this read along for as long as Stephen King keeps making books. So maybe we can try again next year. Okay, so that's the pick for the Stephen King read along. And then about the 2 books that I'm currently reading to my children. Every single month, or not even month, every single day I read to my kids for 1 hour, whether it be an entire hour on one book or I split 30 minutes for each book depending on what my children want that night. So we started Kill the Farm Boy by Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearn. This is so incredibly funny. And when I first purchased this book, I had listened to it on audio for a bit and knew I needed to buy it because the audio is so funny. It has a lot of innuendo in it. I meant to post a scene from it on Goodreads last night, but I got tired and fell asleep. So I think I'm just going to read it to you guys if I can find it. It's so funny. And my 14-year-old is starting to get dirty jokes, and so he's like, hey, I think I know what that means. And I'm like, I don't want to know that you know what that means. But I'll read you the line where I thought it was super hilarious, and then I'll read you this other line where he didn't understand it. I didn't want to tell him. He's like, Mom, just tell me what that means. So I'll tell you that one too. All right, let me find it. Okay, here it is. Toby was very familiar with Staff, the pixie, and her proclamations. It was she who had first suggested that he go home to grow his beard and fiddle with his pillar, which was obviously a reference to his future as a wizard living in a properly terrifying tower. He had followed her suggestion immediately, and he still wasn't done fiddling with the tower. He had many improvements to make, in fact, and assumed he'd be fiddling with his tower and grooming the shrubbery around it until he was a doddering old man, and his tower was falling down. That cracked me up, and my son got that it was a penis joke. So that was pretty funny. And let me find the other one really quick. Here it is. He sounds like every other lad at the countryside. Pickled herring is right popular for good reason, but the talking goat might give me an edge, Poltrow mused. Where will I find him? The address is... I can't. The return address suggests he lives somewhere to the west, so I suppose this tower he's headed toward is the Earl's, the one all covered in thorns and whatnot. Only a chosen one would be foolish enough to try to penetrate that wily thatch. Poltrow rose to her feet and struck a proud pose, with one boot pointed. Head toward the tower and tangled in a wily thatch. Find the chosen one and kill him. Got it. She took a few stalwart steps, then turned back round. What about the goat? I die. So, excuse my horrible accents. I told you guys I read to my children every night with an accent. Wherever the story is located, I try to, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to imitate that accent, but because I have no training, like, it sounds awful. It kind of sounds to me like I'm moving in the right direction, but it's so hard for accents that are in and around the UK because I tend to slip into all of them throughout the entire word. Anywho, he wanted to know what a wily thatch was. And yeah, after begging and begging, I finally told him that it was the girl's shrubbery, and he goes, oh. Anyways, so I am reading this to my kids. Yes, it's a little inappropriate, but my son's now in high school, so I don't care. And my other child doesn't even know what's going on, so that's fine. And then I am still currently reading The Princess Bride. We are halfway through. We just finished with Vicini, and now we are in the Fire Swamp. I haven't picked this up in a few weeks, so we definitely need to continue. I just finished As You Wish, and that made me watch The Princess Bride 3 times this month because I love that movie so much. So I want to get back to the original book. Okay, now that that's all settled, let's start with the, the comparison. So the first one I want to talk about, I have them in order and apologize in advance if the camera shakes a little bit. As you guys know, all the books that I talk about are on my bed. The camera, the light, they're all sitting on my bed. I have no room in my room to be doing this. It's a very poor little thing I have here. Regardless, let's continue. So, if you liked the book Insomnia, which I absolutely loved, I read this in college. high school or college. I can't remember. I think it was college. And it's the main character is an old man, and he can see auras, but instead of like colors, there's strings that come out of people's heads, and there is a bad guy trying to cut these strings. So yes, that's the very short, barely synopsis of this book. But if you liked Insomnia, then you'll like The Dark by James Herbert, according to Goodreads. Maybe not even that. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what that scrolled books are. But I'm assuming that that means that these two are similar, and so I'm going to be reading this one this month. Next, we have The Roses of May by Dot Hutchison. This is the sequel to The Butterfly Garden, and it's a detective-based murder mystery, and I've really enjoyed it. And if you liked this one, then you may like Asylum by Jeanette de Beauvoir, maybe? Beauvoir? I don't know how to say French words. Yeah, I haven't picked this up yet. I've been really wanting to read this for years, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one this month. Let's check under the dust jacket, because I don't remember what anything looks like. Wow, super lame and boring. But I'm excited because Asylum is a buzzword for me. Next, we have Nosferatu. Now, just to clarify, because some people like to correct me in the comments, this is the British version. It says Nosferatu. Here in the United States, it says Nosferatu. I don't know why there's a difference, but there is. I'm not saying it wrong. This is the title in the UK, Nosferatu. I love this edition. I waited forever for this to be on the marketplace, and when I bought it, it was $4, and I was so excited. All right, but if you liked Nosferatu by Joe Hill, which was fabulous, and there's a show coming out, and I can't wait to see Charlie Manx and Christmasland. Oh my gosh. Then I should like Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. Looking forward to reading this. Can't wait. A modern classic, it says. It looks creepy. It looks creepy. And it's not that long, unlike Nosferatu. This was forever. Oh, by the way, if you like audiobooks, this is a fantastic audiobook. The Lady Captain from Star Trek. There's so many spin-offs. I don't know if it's The Next Generation. Whichever one that had the Lady Captain. She's the narrator for Nosferatu. Definitely check it out if you haven't. So good. All right. The next one is, if you liked Welcome to the Dark House, this is by Laurie Ferrara Stolars. This is a YA slasher. So good. Return to the Dark House was junk, so I would skip that. The first one was excellent. Then you might like The Waking Dark by Robin Wasserman. Suspense, chills, gasps, all that, and a gem-like writing style that will make you shiver with beauty and horror. A book you won't soon forget. That's what Cassandra Clare said. But on the back it says, by Libba Bray, twisted, pulse-pounding, shocking, and very scary. With the Waking Dark, Robin Wasserman conjures vintage Stephen King as she peers into the dark heart of a nightmare America where violence and evil lurk behind the golden glow of small-town life and new terrors arrive by the hour. A superb horror story that is by turns visceral and lyrical, heart-rending and heart-stopping. Wow. Super excited. This has been sitting on my shelves for years, so I'm looking forward to finally picking it up. Let's look underneath the dust jacket. Ooh, okay. I don't ever remember looking under the dust jacket, but check out that spine. That's cool. It's got this ugly book, and then you go, whoop, gnarly golden spine. All right. If you've read this author, let me know below. And if you've read this book, tell me if it's super scary, if it's going to scare me. Because you guys know my tolerance for scare is quite high. Like, nothing scares me, and it's hard for me to rate scary books because if it's not scary to me, they tend to be either a 3 or a 4. So let me know. The next set of books we have here is Darkness Becomes Her, and this is by Kelly Keaton. This is a mythological / supernatural story. Our main character, what's her name? Ari. Our main character, Ari, is the daughter of Medusa, or a descendant of Medusa. Not necessarily the daughter, I don't think. She's a descendant. Anyways, she is a bounty hunter. She works with her adoptive parents, and one day she goes with some girl to New Orleans, where Hurricane Katrina has wiped out the entire town, and so all of the houses are still either bogged down with old water or run down. Nobody lives there, and it has been taken over by supernatural beings, vampires, witches, and so forth. So she hooks up with them and is trying to fight off Aphrodite, I think, is the bad guy in this book. There's 3 books altogether, or 4. I don't think I have the 4th one. I really enjoyed this one, and there's a cute little romance in there. But if you liked Darkness Becomes Her, then you might like Blood Magic. This is by Tessa Gratton. I don't know anything about this book, but this was one of my first purchases at Book Outlet in 2014. So this has been on my shelves for a good 5 years, and I've never picked it up. So it's a witch book, I believe. Love buried in cemeteries, horror hidden behind masks, and the whispered language of blood. I adore this book. That was by Maggie Stiefvater. I think this is a witch book. Yeah, what if this spell book was a huge joke? Was I crazy to even try? This one is really thick, so I'm hoping because it's a YA, it'll go fast. The font is pretty, standard for a YA. It has multiple points of view in the book, and underneath the dust jacket is boring black. So there we go. The next set of books I have here is some nonfiction. So we have Death's Acre. So I read this 2 months ago, gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And they say that if I like this one, then I'll like Corpse, Nature, Forensics, and the Struggle to Pinpoint Time of Death by Jessica Snyder Sachs. I bought this a really long time ago. I believe I got this from Book Off, but I could have also gotten this from Penelope. I know she did send me something, but I can't remember if she sent me this book or if I bought this at Book Off. Regardless, it was cheap or free, and I can't wait to read it. I love nonfiction. All right, the next set is If You Liked We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, which I gave 5 stars. Like this one, then you might like Caitlin R. Kiernan's The Red Tree. This girl is named Sarah Crow, and she left Atlanta and the remnants of a tumultuous relationship to live alone in an old house in rural Rhode Island. Okay. I don't think I've ever read a book set in Rhode Island. Looking forward to it. The next set of books is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. This is an amazing mystery. When I first buddy read this with Keely a few years ago, I was dumbfounded because it looks, I'm like, oh, it's a cover with books on it, and so I definitely want to read it because it's going to be about books. But then you think about it, you're like, oh, this is an adult mystery, so it's probably going to be kind of boring, but it totally wasn't. It's about a girl who, her father runs a bookshop, and he works with antiquities and antique books, and he helps find them for other clients, whereas our main character has grown up with books, and so now she's a writer of people's biographies. So a biography writer? I don't know how it's the title of it. Anywho, this old woman who writes lots of books, who's a recluse, asks for her to come up and write her biography, but because she's so reclusive and she doesn't have very good like a reputation in the book world, our main character is iffy on the whole thing, but she decides to take a chance, and she goes up there and the lady tells her her story. Awesome, awesome book. So if you like The 13th Tale, then you might like Seance by John Harwood. This is a Victorian mystery. I've wanted to read this for a really long time. It's also, I got this from a subscriber. I want to say it came from Laverne, but I think I might be wrong. Regardless, I'm looking forward to reading it. Next, we have two books that I got from the insufferable horror subscription box, Nocturnal Readers. I will forever be tormented by that company for stealing $180 from me. I hope that man is going in jail. Anywho, two of the books that came in our boxes, one being Cold Moon Over Babylon. This is by Michael McDowell. This was really, really good. I still haven't seen the movie yet, but it's about a family that has a blueberry farm. They live in the panhandle of Florida. Their blueberry farm is kind of going by the wayside. It's starting to die off. The grandma's old. The children have been living with her since they were little because their parents drowned in a freak like accident in the river that's next to their house. And then now that the kids are grown, yeah, they're trying to figure out what they want to do now, and then deaths start happening. So this is very good. So if you like this one, then you might like the other one, which is Cast a Cold Eye, and this is by Alan Ryan. Both of these books, I believe, are in the paperbacks of Hell by, what's his name? Grady Hendrix. That's his name. So yeah, I'm happy that I got two classics in my boxes because I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one since I loved this one so much. This one says it's beautiful, haunting, and hypnotic. That's what William Peter Blatty said. And this is about Jack Quinlan, an American writer who travels to a small village in the remote western part of Ireland to research a book on the Irish famine. Nice, nice. Two more piles. If you liked Meg, which was my absolute favorite read of a couple years ago, I can't remember what year anymore. I think it was 2017, this was my favorite book. And then I reread it again last year to my children right before the movie came out. I love this book so much. So if you liked Meg, then you might like Below by Ryan Lockwood. In the best-selling tradition of Jaws, from the depths of the sea comes a new kind of terror. I don't even want to read anything else. I'm so excited to read another water creature book. Yay. And then the very, very last one I have here is Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wayne Jones. Oh my gosh. If you guys like the cartoon Howl's Moving Castle, I highly suggest reading the book. The characters are just a little bit older. It's still super sweet. I did not stop smiling the entire time reading this. I absolutely loved it. I mean, Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorite Miyazaki films. But yeah, I loved this book so much. So if you like this one, you might like The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. I own the entire series of books, and I did start this. You see that? My little tab here. I left off on page 90. And I pretty much remember everything that's happened, so I think I'll just stay here and continue on from where I left off. My camera is just slowly starting to fall. Did you guys watch as it fell because of all the books that are in front of me? Let me move the books a little bit so I don't look stupid. Did that help any? A little bit. A little bit. All right. So my son read all of these books back in the 5th grade, I think, and he loved them. And Cleo and I have very good, very similar humor and reading style, although he likes dragons and I don't. But most of the things that he likes to read, I also enjoy in stories. So definitely looking forward to finally finishing this. I picked this up back in 2014 and I still haven't finished it. Story of my life. Anyways, that was it. Let me know down below if you've read any of the books I mentioned in this video. I will leave all of the Goodreads reviews for the books that I have read down below, along with just a list of the books that are that are in this video in general. I hope that this TBR sounded fun and that I gave you guys a little bit of information on similar books or alike books for August. And yeah, that is it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!